ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule says his innocence in the asbestos corruption case will be proven by the courts. However, Mahashule maintains he cannot speak freely about the details of the case for legal reasons. He and his 15 co-accused will appear in the Free State High Court on the 11th of August for pre-trial proceedings. They face multiple charges of fraud, corruption and money laundering related to the Free State asbestos roofing contracts.
When the whole matter against me is concluded, history will certainly absolve some of us, and at that point I will be able to express myself to the public. I have by all means avoided the obvious temptation to speak about the merits and demerits of the ongoing case, because I'm sure you know by now that the indictment is voluminous, and the lawyers are actually looking at that, and we are studying everything. This is all because I respect our courts, and I always take counsel from my competent legal team. If it was me, I will just talk, but from time to time, legal practitioners have to advise us. I will not comment further about the charges preferred against me, except to say, I think the story which was pumped in the morning was that there are new charges added. There are no charges added, as the spokesperson of MPA was saying. It's the same charges, and I'm sure we could, at a later stage, circulate the charges, and it's for you to inform the public of South Africa properly and honestly so.
Mahashule further called for the judiciary to treat all the accused fairly.
The criminal justice system in our country must be of the highest repute and deal with corruption in an absolute fair and even-handed manner. That's our call, that's our plea. Any hint of selective morality to the application of the rule of law and justice or abuse of the legal system in our judiciary must indeed be avoided at all and every cost. All peace-loving South Africans must all time stand on the right side of the law, and when so accused of any wrongdoing, be accorded a fair and just hearing. We should not be judged in the public opinion by the public or by the media. The courts must legitimately act to protect, uphold, and preserve the rights of everyone, regardless of their station and position in society. Justice must at all times be seen to be done.
From the courts to the crime stats, the latest stats have revealed a 5% increase in sexual offences. Police Minister Bekitile was presenting the crime figures for the 3 months between October and December. He said that 12,218 people reported being raped during that quarter. He added that the Umlazi police station in KwaZulu-Natal recorded the highest number of sexual crimes.
A 5% increase has been recorded for the sexual offences detected as a result of police action. 12,218 people were raped between October and December last year. This is a bad figure. 12,218 people were raped between October and December last year. This is an increase of 181 cases, amounting to 1.5 increase compared to the previous reporting period. Over 4,900 of the rape incidents took place at the home of the victim or the home of the rapist. 570 were domestic violence related, and 547 of rape cases in this category involved female victims and 23 were male victims. Inanda, Umlazi in KwaZulu-Natal, and the Eastern Cape Lusikisiki police station recorded the highest incidence of rape.
And staying with the crime stats, joining us now is politics editor Sbu Ngalwa and reporter Palani Pahadi. Gentlemen, a very good evening. Sbu, maybe to start off with you, Ace Magashule, I've done nothing wrong, were his words. Is he as innocent as he sounds?
Well, we can never determine, but I've never met, Hugo, an accused person who has ever readily admitted their crime, unless if their conscience weighs heavily on them. But I think in this particular case, that has always been the contention of the ANC's Secretary-General, Ace Magashule. But I think by now, having had this long day in Bloemfontein, which started with him appearing in court at 9 o'clock this morning, where their bail was extended, and with him expected to return back to court on the 11th of August, with that case now being transferred to the higher court. And you heard that press conference earlier on, Hugo, where he says he's innocent and at the right time he will speak. This is all familiar speak, I must say. We've heard it before, particularly in political circles, where those were accused, and in the case that I'm referencing, it was the former president, Jacob Zuma. In fact, until today, he still maintains that the cases that he's facing are part of a political campaign to undermine him and to thwart whatever ambitions he may have. I guess in the case of Ace Magashule, he probably still has ambitions to advance in the ANC. But the reality here is that I think it's going to be a long way, Hugo, between now and the 11th of August. A lot is going to happen, not inside the courtroom, but at the political level, because we do know that within ANC politics, being in court is not quite an impediment for most. It actually may even assist their chances of being propelled, because the ANC loves a good victim. We saw it with Jacob Zuma, and I can say in this particular case that we are seeing some of those similarities, including in songs. Some of those songs where the name of Zuma is merely substituted with that of Ace Magashule. So I think, as I said, Hugo, more importantly, actually, given the fact that there's the period intervening between now and August when they go back to court, there are ANC regional and provincial conferences that will have to take place, and the ANC has to have a national congress next year. We've already had some supporters of Ace Magashule saying Ace Magashule for president. He's a bit coy about it, but I think within the context of the ANC politics, you can tell that something is at play. There are some movement, and there have been rumblings for a while about President Ramaphosa's election. The big question is, will he stand for a re-election? But even if he does or does not, what is clear is that there will be another candidate that will be put forward by the faction that is opposing him.
Sbu, I'd like to just bring you back to the two individuals that you spoke about, Ace Magashule and the former president, Jacob Zuma. Can we draw a parallel from the two individuals, certainly from both their levels of defiance?
Look, I think the parallels would be as far as they are, one, their political alignment, the two are political aligned in terms of thought and also in terms of what they want to see in the ANC. And you do know that going to the 2017, in fact, we can go back to the 2012 Congress, Ace Magashule, in fact, we can even take it back to 2007, where Jacob Zuma took over as the leader of the ANC, defeating the incumbent Thabo Mbeki, or the outgoing Thabo Mbeki at that time. Ace Magashule has always been on his side. And soon after losing the conference in 2017, where Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was not elected as president, Ace Magashule went to Pietermaritzburg in KwaZulu-Natal, where he said, comrades, it's only 5 years. We can come back in 5 years. While he did not mention names, the message was clear that bid your time for 5 years. Let's tolerate this man for 5 years. In 5 years' time, we have an opportunity to make a go at the leadership of the ANC. And you have seen him. In fact, there's a sense of deja vu, I must say, Hugo. I mean, I was a young budding reporter in 2007 when I covered the ANC's Polokwane conference, and I remember the mood, and I remember the songs, and listening and looking at some of these rallies and how Ace Magashule is projecting himself. And I think he learned a good deal from President Zuma and how Zuma benefited from that. And I think actually him being before court may actually, in terms of ANC politics, particularly because this is the narrative that has been adopted by his supporters, where they see see this and they project this as some kind of a political machination which is meant to undermine him and thwart his ambition, it may well aid him in his quest to take over the ANC's leadership if it ends up at that point, Hugo.
So what does all this do to the ANC? Obviously, there are things that they've been talking about, suggesting that one should step aside. Obviously, the Concourt being the highest court in the land, but non-adherence by their membership. Very quickly to that.
Look, I think for a while we've always known that the ANC is divided. But I think what is at the heart, what is quite glaring now is the section of the ANC's leadership which is convinced that the courts, and particularly the judiciary in this country, is biased towards some of them.
Sbu, if
and
I could,
think it
I'm
is
going to have
actually
to,
quite a
I'm going to have to
dangerous
stop you
thing,
there, Sbu.
given the fact that
I'm going to have to stop you there for a second and just speak to Philani. Philani, thanks again for joining us. Crime stats, figures not looking good, even shocking the police minister himself.
Well, definitely, the police minister came through to talk directly about how he says that the numbers are quite shocking. He talked a lot about gender-based violence, which is really one could say a very thorny issue in South Africa currently, and that revealing that 12,800 people were raped in just 3 weeks. I mean, in 3 months. That's the period between October and December, and over 4,900 of the rape incidents took place at the home of the victim or the home of the perpetrator. So that give you an indication that the victims do know who the perpetrators are. They are known to society, and it draws a picture that, of course, women are not safe, and are definitely not safe where they are, even when the people, amongst the people that they know most. And 570 cases were domestic violence related, while 547 of rape cases in this category involved female victims and 23 were male. So Hugo, it really does come through for us to really want to understand where the national gender-based violence council is going to be coming through, and to talk directly to these issues so that they can be able to be resolved. And of course, the minister also revealing that the top 4 causative factors now on the other matter, which is literally on murder, it is arguments, robberies, and the household or businesses, or even mob justice incidences and gang-related killings. So a lot of heartbreaking statistics coming from the police minister.
Philani, another statistic that I'd just like us to talk about is that a total of 2,481 people were murdered in public areas. What does that say? I mean, that is absolutely astounding.
Yes, I mean, and of course, all of this now, since the alcohol ban was lifted, the minister do come through to say that there were a lot of people who were killed, and alcohol seemed to have been involved in most cases. And now, giving you a sense, of course, of those complaints earlier by civic organizations, that it so seems that South Africa has, South Africa people in general have a drinking problem, and that has to be attended to through rigorous education, and as well as through the basic education, so that people do understand the side effects, the violent effects sometimes of alcohol, and of course bringing it home where people should be in a position to be able to diffuse tensions when those kind of challenges are coming through. He did also release a statistic, I think, about people who are killed by farmers, and I think that is a statistic that one should be taking a look at. Talking about over 20 people who were killed by the farmers themselves, and we do know that AfriForum has also on the side released statistics saying that over 60 people, which are farmers themselves, were killed at their farmsteads. And those are some of the contradicting statistics that I think it will be important for us as Newzroom Afrika to try and follow and to get a clear indication. But of course, an official word remains with the police currently. And they have said numerous times that murder is murder, and not that the murder will be clubbed in one specific area to say these are farm murders or these are murders that are happening in a location, but he did mention that there were murders, in this instance, farmers being the ones that do kill farm workers.
Big thank you to our colleagues Apalani Pahadi and Sbu Ngalwa.